the Prophecy Club. As you have been listening over the last several days, we have been talking about oil in Israel. Now, I did 3 broadcasts and I covered some of the very basic scriptures trying to answer one simple question, and that is, does the Bible say that oil is in Israel? Now, if you listen to those 3 broadcasts, I think you got your answer. Now, the next question is, who is God sending to find the oil? Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm going to be the first one, or I'm going to be the only one that's going to be finding oil in Israel. Wow, what an arrogant statement. I believe that God has probably released several people to go over and look for the oil. Now, of others and what God has done for them, or maybe what God hasn't called them to do, is not mine to say. I'm only going to tell you my story and how I come to be at this. Now, first of all, let me just say right up front, I have never wanted to be in the oil business. I grew up out in West Texas, okay? As I said in the broadcast the other day, I grew up right next to a pump jack, okay? I mean, I can still remember, click, 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 because I heard it all of the time I was there. I moved into that house. My parents did, and I moved with them, of course, at the age of 9. And I just recently went back a year or so ago, and that same pump jack is still there pumping oil now, and I'm 59 years old. So I assume that same oil well there has been pumping oil for some 50 some odd years. Still makes the same sound. Now, I grew up in the oil patch. I lost a very good friend walked into a hydrogen sulfide pocket of gas and fell dead. Very good friend in high school. And all my friends were in the oil business. I mean, I remember driving around and seeing the bumper stickers that said, oil feeds my family and pays my taxes, okay? I mean, people there, that's pretty much all they did. I mean, everything in the whole area was connected with oil. Now, I never wanted to have anything to do with the oil business. And for the same reason, I didn't play football. I didn't want to tear up my body, and I didn't want to, I wanted to live. And there's a lot of folks that die in the oil field. I mean, being a roughneck is one of the most dangerous jobs on the planet, okay? I can also tell you, by the way, the 1972 oil glut, the big long lines at the filling stations. Well, there wasn't any long lines at the filling stations in the West Texas area because we were the folks that were pumping the oil, that were moving the oil out of the ground up to the barrels, from the barrels over to the refineries, and everybody around there knew that there was plenty of oil, and no one had to ever stand in any kind of long lines there because we knew that there was plenty of oil when there was supposed to be an oil crisis. We also knew that there was still an oil need when there was supposed to be an oil glut. Okay, we knew that. So our oil, either way, didn't change. I will say this, that I was, at the time, selling enrollments to a course that was about public speaking and human relations and winning friends and things like that. And one day, all of a sudden, they came out, I believe it was like 1973, and said that there was an oil glut. Within 3 months, almost every bank and most every company in the whole city was out of business. By the end of the year, just about the whole place was shut down because they dropped the price of a barrel of oil down to like $3. Okay, so point is, I have never wanted to be around the oil business. That's my point. So this was not my idea to go off and start me an oil company, to go to Israel and find that oil, okay? Matter of fact, the real objective here is to get one simple message to America and one simple message to the world. To America, that she is the Mystery Babylon. She has been judged. She will fall. To the world, you are in the last days. Prophecies are coming to pass in your lifetime, and you better stop sinning, repent, and receive Jesus. Okay? Now, this oil money that's coming is not for me. I know that. And if you follow this ministry for any time, you know that. You know as well as I do that this money that is coming is for soul winning. God has already shown me that I'm going to be in sports stadiums, and I don't think just a few. Now, I'm going to cover all of that. Now, here's where it all began. I want to start my story in April of 1992. my good friend Hayseed had been invited to Israel to actually meet Menachem Begin, then Prime Minister of Israel. When he was there, he told the whole story of how he gave him his hat and how Menachem Begin said, well, maybe you'll be the one to come and find oil for us in Israel. He tells the story about how, while he was there, the Lord spoke to his heart and said the world's largest oil field is located at the southwest end of the Dead Sea. I've recently been reading a book about oil finds in Israel. I've been recently reading a book about oil finds in America. And one of the things that the book talks about is how they found a giant oil field right here in America, like back in the 1930s, okay? They called it the Black Giant, all right? That black giant is what gave America the money to be victorious in World War II. There's going to be another huge, well, the question is, will there be another huge oil discovery in Israel that will fund Israel's victory in World War III? Now, the next thing in our story is 1987. Make a long story short, we had started a Bible study because several of the people in the area had heard that I know about Bible prophecy and had asked me to start a Bible prophecy Bible study. And while I was there, someone someplace gave me an audio tape. Boy, I wish I had that audio tape today. Who knows where it is now? But it told about how Andy Sorrell had found scriptures saying that massive amounts of oil was in Israel, and how he went over and actually used some of his own money and bought a rig and drilled several holes in Israel, including the deepest one that's been drilled to this point, down to like 20,238 feet. And he hit yellow crude oil, but he dropped a string of pipe down the hole about 300 foot long, fished for a long time, couldn't get it out, had to abandon the well. But the point is that here in 1987, I had no idea that I would be ever in the ministry, much less be president and CEO of an oil company with the vision to go find the oil in Israel. But I was actually teaching what the Bible said about oil in Israel in 1987. Had no idea. All right. Then Prophecy Club started in 1993. Then in July of 1997, we put a fellow by the name of Hayseed Stevens on a speaking tour. He made a DVD called Oil, the Road to Armageddon, and he talked about how oil in Israel is going to be the thing that brings the nations down, the hook in the jaw, that the nations come down for a great spoil. He said that spoil is going to be oil. And we put him on a speaking tour. That blew life into his vision to find oil in Israel. In 1995, he had formed a company, and this blew financial life into his vision to go find oil in Israel. Then on October 26th of 2001, now, there's no particular reason Leslie was given this, other than it may be pointing that, other than the fact that it may be saying that all along God had some plans for us to go to Israel and to look for oil. Okay, so October 26th, Leslie had a dream. And in this dream, I won't cover the whole thing, but Hayseed said to Leslie and I, God is about to bless you abundantly. Then the scene shifted to a map of Israel, where she was shown where the oil flows from one place to another. It's on the DVDs if you want to know more about that. We even show you a map where we were shown the oil flowing in Israel. So we believe right there we were shown pretty much where the big giant of oil is in Israel. Now you got to ask yourself, okay, why would a housewife, a mother, a prophet, why would we be shown oil in Israel? No reason? No, I don't think God does something for just no reason. I think there's a reason. We didn't understand it at the time. Now let's go on to the next event. December 16th, 2002, as I was drifting off to sleep, I said, Lord, and I thought about this before I said it, okay? I just want to say I love you with all of my heart, more than my wife, my children, my very life. Well, apparently that got God's attention because I didn't realize that I had stepped into the Abrahamic covenant, basically saying that I love the Lord more than anything on this earth. And in the night, I heard the audible voice of God speak to me in a dream, saying, I'm giving you part of the harvest from the seeds sown by Billy Graham. Then a sword appeared in my hands. It was very light and extremely sharp, and I swung it around. It was very effortless. Then, up to the right, appeared a 2-foot by 2-foot piece of paper, one end kind of bent down. And I swung the sword, cut off about a third of the paper. As I sliced down the paper, about a third of the paper turned into a waterfall. And I believe it means this: I'm giving you part of the harvest from the seed sown by Billy Graham. Means that we're going to be in sports stadiums. And he's shown me a vision that we're going to be in sports stadiums with meetings. And then the piece of paper with a third of it cut down and the third that it cut off just turned to a waterfall. I believe that that's saying God is going to give me about the third the number of souls as he gave Billy Graham. Now, how many did Billy Graham win to the Lord? Well, he did meetings in sports stadiums around the globe for some 50 years, and he won a lot of them. And I believe the reason the paper turned to a waterfall, because I believe those souls will come in very quickly. Right now, you invite someone to go to church. No. They don't need to go to church. There's no reason to go to church. It's hard. You almost got to drag them into church, and then they're ready to leave at the drop of a hat. I mean, as I've said many times, it takes a bulldozer to drag them in and a feather to run them off, okay? But the time is going to come when they're going to run to Jesus. I believe the time will come when we are having meetings in sports stadiums and we see people run down and fall on their face and give their heart to Jesus. That's what I look forward to. That's why my heart beats. Then, April 15th, 2002, God gave Leslie another dream. I'm not going to read the whole thing. All of these are in DVDs if you want them, but I'll just give you the highlights. And it basically, in this dream, Hayseed called his wife, Mary Jean, and said, "You need to go home. War is about to break out here in Israel." Now, I believe that this is giving us a hint probably when these events are going to take place, and that is when people are thinking there's about to be war breaking out in Israel. Now, as I just said in the radio program the other day, that I have run across some information. It was emailed to me, and it was from a friend, so it's really not reliable. However, if you believe it, it was saying that America is making a very quiet, massive move of some military equipment, and they are saying that America is soon to be going to war, and we suspect it'll probably have something to do with disciplining Iran. Let's put it that way. Back to the dream. I saw a news report on television that announced that Israel had given the Palestinians a state. We'll be right back after this message. The Prophecy Club had 6 exciting speakers, which made 11 awesome DVDs in October. Shane Warren spoke on The Storm, Judgment, and Revival. Bill Federer did 4, Change to Chains, Islamic Conquest, Past and Present, 32 Miracles in American History, and Origins of the Great Awakening. Bree Keaton did 2, Go Rescue the Pygmies and Translations to Heaven. Maurice Sklar spoke on Revelations for the Midnight Hour. Daniel Dave spoke on I Saw the Dollar Dead. Michael Boldea did 2, The Suffering or the Glory and Dreams and Visions from God. That's 11 new DVDs, most 2 to 2.5 hours, valued at $330, all available for a gift of just $200. If you've already placed an order for one of the earlier gift offers, you may call in and add the extra gift and get your order upgraded to the full offer. That's 785-266-1112. You want to ask for the October gift offer, 11 DVDs, 2 to 2.5 hours each, valued at $330, available for a gift of just $200. Call 785-266-1112 or go to prophecyclub.com. The next speaker at the Prophecy Club is Augusto Perez. Pastor Perez has had 44 dreams and visions and several angel visits, showing him some amazing things about the future of America. He will share as many of these dreams and visions as possible from 7 to 10:30 Saturday, January the 5th at the Prophecy Club, 2540 Avenue K in Plano. Topics are the Great Shaking, the vision of the 3 stars, the coming famine, the glory cloud, the double portion outpouring, the coming attack on the U.S., the Great Darkness, the super devaluation of the dollar, the appearance of a celestial body, and much more. Order the DVD End of Times at prophecyclub.com. That's Augusto Perez, Saturday, January 5th at the Prophecy Club, 2540 Avenue K in Plano, corner of Park and K behind the Whataburger. Gift of $10 at the door. Doors open at 6, speaking from 7 to 10:30. See you there! And now, back to the program. Back to the dream. I saw a news report on television that announced that Israel had given the Palestinians a state. Then I heard the Lord say, now this is the audible voice of God in the dream, you must tell everyone that oil is going to come forth soon. The discovery of large amounts of oil will make the Jewish people willing to fight for their land. It will be like a major war, almost like the whole world will get involved in this war. Now there's a little question in my mind. That part of it is talking about World War III. Now, let's go on. Then January the 26th, 2003, Leslie and I woke up, and I woke up out of a dream, and I was about to turn to tell her, hey, I had this fantastic dream, and she was patting me on the leg and saying, wake up, wake up, wake up, I had a dream. We both had not exactly the same dream, but pretty much the same dream in terms of topic at the same time. Now, this was my dream. I dreamed that I was in a car and I was going around a mountain, and I kept pushing the accelerator down faster and faster and faster. There were no cars coming. But finally, I began to slide off. I slid off the mountain, and then my car started going just straight down, but it was almost like it had a giant parachute on it as it just began to drift down slowly. And then as it began to get closer to the ground, it turned to a really nice, expensive, leather-covered easy chair. And it landed down on top of this penthouse that was up on top of a really high penthouse type building in a downtown area, and it landed right next to an Olympic size swimming pool. And as I looked around, everything there was really expensive. And then about that time I heard a voice. I looked up, and it was Hayseed Stevens, and he said, hello, big boy, it's about time you get here. Now, I believe that that is saying that one of these days mega millions of dollars will come into my hands. And I probably ought to jump back to something else. I don't even have it here in my notes. But it was October 31st, 1989 or 90, somewhere in there. I was in Omaha at the time, and Michael Boldea called. I had asked Dimitri the night before. I said, Dimitri, I would like for you to ask God why he won't heal my back. Because I used to have a lot of back problems. Now I have almost no back problems. And he says, I would like to know. I want to know why God won't heal my back. Well, Michael Boldea called the next morning, and he said, well, the angel visited last night, and I have a message to give to you. I said, say on. He said, well, concerning your back, the Lord says he loves you, and he loves your family, but he's let the sickness come on you because you do not say that God did it. You do not put God in front of you when you're doing something. He said, if you'll put God in front of you, and if you will humble yourself, he said, then he will take away the back problems. He said, also, there's more. I said, say on. He said, also, the Lord says that if you will do what God has laid on your heart to do, that he will bless you more than you ever thought possible. Now, I tell the Lord in my prayer closet all the time, Lord, you've already blessed me more than I ever thought possible. I mean, I was never even going to be in the ministry, much less start 3 churches, do a radio and TV program on Bible prophecy. So I think he's already blessed me more than I deserve to be blessed anyway. But hey, if he wants to use me to win some souls, just like you, if the Lord come to you and wants to use you to win some souls, you'd say yes too. All right, now, here's what the dream that Leslie had, and I'm not going to go into all the details because I found in my early days of receiving dreams, I used to think that every little detail in a dream meant something. I've since discovered that most of the time, all of those little details don't mean anything. It's the main fact of the dream. Like, for example, the main fact of my dream, sliding off the mountain into wealth, it's basically saying that I'm going to wreck In other words, my efforts to win thousands upon thousands of souls, it falls apart. But what God plans will work. So here was Leslie's dream. And I'm just doing this off the top of my head because the details don't really matter. But basically, we had a 3-story house. It was huge. It had a waterfall inside of it. And all the details don't matter except to say that we both had a dream literally at the same time, both about extreme wealth. Now, I'm not saying that saying, hey, boy, God's going to make me wealthy. I'm saying that because I look forward to the soul winning, and I'm sure you do too. As a matter of fact, many of you listening, when it comes in, you'll get to be a part of that soul winning. When we go down to those sports stadiums, I'm going to need people helping, praying with people, helping with the tables. Many of you that now listen today, and God has opened your eyes and you see that there's something special in this message, something special in this vision to tell America that she is the Mystery Babylon and to tell the world that she is in the last days. You know that that's of God, and you support this ministry when others wave their hand and say, oh, you gotta be kidding. But you see it, you know, and you understand. All right, now let's go on. Now that's 2003. February 7th, 2003. I had another dream, just a quick one. Again, the details of the dream are not important, but basically I was praying and I said, Lord, you know, this is not working so good. I'd had several very frustrating meetings. I walked out and it seems like my pockets were hanging out and I had a big stack of bills and I didn't know how I was going to pay them. And there's been a lot of times when I've sowed and the people haven't how should I say, helped me reap. And so I walk out with a big pile of bills, and they walk out having a wonderful meeting, but I couldn't even pay the bills. Anyway, and it was one of those nights. So I prayed, and God gave me a dream and showed me a safe, and it was full of gold bars, and he basically said, essentially, stand at work. I'm going to take care of you. Another very powerful dream. This is February 8th, 2003. This is the next day. And here was the situation. Oh, I remember this one specifically. Now, all of this is going to tie together here in just a second. And it's going to help you to understand why I feel like I'm supposed to go to Israel and look for oil, okay? February 8th, 2003. I remember I walked out of an Omaha, Nebraska Prophecy Club meeting. We need about 100 people to show up at a meeting to make it. Okay, that's just in order to have the next meeting and pay all their bills and the radio and everything. Well, we only had about 25 people at that meeting. And I walked out of there very depressed and dejected, and I went up to the hotel room and I thought, man, I don't even know if I have enough money to pay the hotel room, much less that expensive meeting room. I called Leslie and I said, you know, this isn't working. Maybe I need to go find something else to do. You know, I was making pretty good money before I got in this. I don't have to put up with this. I know where I can go make good money, and I don't have to put up with all these frustrations. I would just like for you to pray with me tonight and just have God tell me, you know, am I doing the right thing? Am I supposed to be doing this? What am I supposed to be doing? That's what I want to know. What am I supposed to be doing? And Leslie prayed with me. That night, I went to sleep. Oh, and I had a very powerful dream. Matter of fact, I had a dream so powerful, even though it was in 2003, some 9 years ago. I don't need any notes to tell you this dream. It's burned into my heart, brothers and sisters, okay? Which, by the way, I don't think I have any notes on any of these dreams because these are significant dreams, significant things that have happened. And I think I have a real reason to be on the radio today telling you all of this. I dreamed that I was driving down the road. I'm going to cut off a little bit of it because I just want to get to the main point. I'm driving down the road, and I wanted a place to pray. And I pulled into what kind of looked like a Salvation Army place. It was a mission. It wasn't Salvation Army, but it was a mission where you go in if you're homeless and you get food. And I walked in, and there was some people, probably 40 men in there, and they had these backless, long, kind of a chair type affair that you sat on, kind of a backless pew. And they were all sitting in there. This guy in the front says, he holds up this piece of paper and he says, look, I want you all to take this piece of paper and go down to this memorial and look at it. After you look at it, you get this piece of paper signed, you come back, and then you can eat. Because if you know you've been to some of those missions, you got to hear the preaching before you get the free meal, okay? Well, I didn't go there for a free meal. I just wanted to stop in and pray because I was very frustrated about what I was supposed to do. And so I just stood there in the back, and this guy began walking around to the 40 different men handing these papers out. He walked up to me and handed me a paper, and I said, no, I don't need a paper. I don't need to eat. I just came here to pray. And he says, no. He says, it's really good. He said, you got to go. And he pushed the paper at me. And I said, no, really. He said, it's not. By that time, a guy in the front row raised his hand. He says, what's this all about? He says, well, it's a memorial to a Romanian pastor named Dudeman. He said, go see it. He said, you'll really like it. And by this time, this guy tries to give me this piece of paper again. I said, no, please, I just came here to pray. I don't need to eat. I don't need to go see the memorial. And then he stepped really close, and he actually punched me with the paper, and the paper crinkled up as he says, no. He says, you got to go see it. And he punched me with a paper. And I said, wait a minute, you talking about Dimitri Duduman? He said, yeah. I said, the Romanian pastor that smuggled 300,000 Bibles into Romania and Russia? And then he was sent to America, put on the electric chair twice, and the angel came to him and said the fall of America would start with an internal revolution started by the communists. Some of the people would start fighting against the government. The government would be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America in 1 hour. Is that the Dimitri Duduman you're talking about? And the guy says, yeah, punched me with the paper and said, you got to go see it. And I just exploded. I said, I am Dimitri Duduman. And I fell back into the chair and I just started weeping. Then I woke up out of the dream. And I knew what God was saying. He was saying, Stan, stay with the Dimitri Duduman message. You're going to like it. In other words, it's going to be how you're going to win so many souls. That's the primary thing I'm supposed to get out, is the message of Dimitri Duduman, the whole end time message that America is the Mystery Babylon. And if you've been listening to the radio broadcast for any length of time, I'm constantly mentioning Dimitri Duduman's name. We just had his grandson, Michael Boldea, speak and make 2 brand new DVDs here, 3 or 4 weeks ago. I love you with all of my heart. I thank you so much for all of your prayers and your support. God bless. Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. The next speaker at the Prophecy Club is Augusto Perez. Pastor Perez has had 44 dreams and visions and several angel visits, showing him some amazing things about the future of America. He will share as many of these dreams and visions as possible from 7 to 10:30 Saturday, January the 5th at the Prophecy Club, 2540 Avenue K in Plano. Topics are the Great Shaking, the vision of the 3 stars, the coming famine, the glory cloud, the double portion outpouring, the coming attack on the U.S., the great darkness, the super devaluation of the dollar, the appearance of a celestial body, and much more. Order the DVD End of Times at prophecyclub.com. That's Augusto Perez, Saturday, January 5th at the Prophecy Club, 2540 Avenue K in Plano, corner of Park and K behind the Whataburger. Gift of $10 at the door. Doors open at 6, speaking from 7 to 10:30. See you there! The next speaker at the Prophecy Club has been teaching Bible prophecy for over 20 years, made 27 DVDs. He'll speak on Daniel verse by verse, using 441 slides, 350 pictures, 53 maps, and 18 charts. You will better understand Daniel, and I'm talking about myself, Stan Johnson. I will answer questions such as, have the sorrows begun? What bloodline, empire, and region does the Antichrist come from? How can we recognize the Antichrist? How does the Antichrist gain control? What does he do? Who is the leopard? And what are the 9 signs of Jesus' return? 8 hours, 4 widescreen DVDs, a gift of $75 or upgrade for $30. Find out about it at prophecyclub.com or call 785-266-1112. That's Daniel verse by verse, speaking Friday, January 4th, 7 to 10:30, Saturday the 5th, 9 to noon, 2 to 5, Sunday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:15 at the Prophecy Club, 2540 K Avenue in Plano, on the corner of Park and K behind the Whataburger. Gift of $10 at the door or $20 for all the Daniel Talks. See you there!